Okay.
Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Hello everyone, welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host, Royce the Redneck Radio Man. Joining me tonight is psychic detective Debbie Malone, and y'all probably seen her on TV shows. Of course, she's in the Sydney, Australia area, so I don't know if y'all would have picked her up in a local United States show or not, but you know, sometimes they do show those over here. Some of you listeners overseas, however, might have been more likely to have seen her. And we're going to be discussing some of her cases that she's actually solved on the, murder cases and stuff like that. But we're also going to discuss her latest book that she's got out, Never Alone. I think it's a medium's journey. So, Debbie, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Royce. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. And, okay, thank you very much, Leslie. Somebody in the chat room just said that they could hear, and it just happened to be the person I mentioned to you earlier. So that's wonderful that he can hear you. Anyway, I know I didn't get a chance to talk to you prior to the show today to tell you exactly what I was wanting to talk about. But I know that you were listed as, well, for one thing, you got 2 books out of your own, if I'm not mistaken, or one of them you had out might be out of print now, I'm not sure, as The Psychic Detective, A Medium's Journey. And now you've got out Never Alone, A Medium's Journey. And I think one is kind of a redo of the other, isn't it? Or like an upgrade of the other?
Yeah, the other one's an ebook, like the latest one's an ebook, and I'm currently writing the second book to that. So yeah, there's been one in print and one a print book and one is an ebook.
Okay, one's a pre-book and one's an A-book. I got you. I kind of figured it was something like that. But I'd also noticed when I was over there, and this is what got me to looking for you, is that you were mentioned in another book that somebody had written on there about, he was making a case for well-known psychic detectives and the fact that they had good results. And in your book, his book, you were listed along with about 10 other psychic detectives that he thought were just, fantastic. So I thought I'd contact you and have you on my show to tell my listeners about you and what you do.
Oh, thank you very much. That's wonderful.
So real quick, why don't we start this out by breaking the ice and let you tell the listeners what was it that got you to doing this particular kind of work in the first place?
I've had 6 near-death experiences, and through that I woke up and more or less saw spirit. I actually used to see spirit when I was a child, and my mum just told me I had a great imagination. But I had a near-death experience at 3, one at 13, and another 4 in my late 20s, early 30s, and also a miscarriage. And from that point onwards, I started to dream about murder cases, and it was a major case over here called the Backpacker Murders. I don't know if you've heard of that. Ivan Milat was the murderer, and there was a number of missing overseas backpackers, and that's the first thing I actually saw. And I contacted the police. And to start with, they actually thought I was a bit of a crazy lady because, how could I know things? Then they thought I was a suspect because I knew too much. And then after some time, I actually had 2 detectives that I actually worked with.
2 detectives, so that's pretty impressive. Are you still being used by the police force up there in Sydney?
Yes, I'm currently working on a case at the moment, and I work with a unit called the Cadaver Dog Unit, which are the dogs that actually sniff out for cadavers or dead bodies. So I work with 2 of the guys from that, which has been, and actually it's a wonderful experience.
Okay. Now, I was kind of surprised, or I am, should I say, rather, kind of surprised that given the kind of work that you do, that they would pair you up with a cadaver dog because you would think you would come in after and they weren't successful with it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I haven't actually ever found a body. It's more a matter of I'm like a profiler, so I will be given items from a missing person. Usually I'm not told what the case would be, and I do a thing called psychometry. And psychometry is holding a piece of jewellery or a clothing or an item of the deceased loved one, and I tune in from that. But it's sometimes I'll work with the cadaver dog units to pinpoint areas, and then we do searches.
Ah, so you more or less have your luck with finding the person, if they're still available to be found, or where they might have been dumped if there's nothing left of them, or what happened in the last of the events that they saw and things of that nature?
Yeah, definitely. It's like I can become the victim. I can actually be the perpetrator and see it through their eyes. I smell things, hear things, see things. It's like watching little TV screens. So sometimes it's filling in the missing pieces prior to the person's disappearance or their death.
Now, when I was reading your description, I read on there that you've handled several of their cases that are, well, they're pretty well known, at least in the Sydney, Australia area. So you must have been doing this a pretty long time. What kind of cases can you kind of share with the people that you've already had success with?
Well, the backpacker murders definitely is one of the biggest ones. There's a case called the Claremont serial killings, which was in Perth, and I worked with a forensic artist and we did a drawing. And it's hard though because some of the police officers are open to me working with them, then others aren't. So that information, that's actually in my book, but that was sort of left to the police to follow up. There's a young man that's missing currently who I'm working with the police officer on that case. It's another missing girl named Hayley Dodd in WA, and I was given some items of her clothing, and I tuned in Sydney, so Western Australia's, the other side of Australia. And then I went with her mum and a camera crew, and we actually found bones, and everything I saw in the visions were actually found. We're just waiting for the police to follow that one up. There was another case where there was a lady murdered, and they wanted to fill in the missing gaps for the coroner, so my information was used as evidence in that police case. And there's another lady that was kidnapped, and I was asked to sort of retrace her steps, and then it was a bit scary though because the husband was dropping off this missing woman's best friend to my house, and I said to her I was getting a bit concerned because it actually was the husband was the murderer. So sometimes you get a little bit close, so you have to be quite careful.
Okay. Well, listen, right now I've gotten a little ahead of myself tonight. I was a little off balance. As you know, we had a little difficulty starting out, and I allowed that to kind of throw me out of my usual order. So real quick, like before I forget any further, for you folks listening that would like to ask questions, you can either ask it in the chat room, PM me on Skype at Mr. Paranormal, or you can use the call-in number 832-632-7904. And if I don't answer it right away or the voicemail picks up, just try right back. I'm probably trying not to interrupt the guest in the middle of a sentence, and voicemail may beat me to it. Also, if you want to learn more about her website is www.betweentwoworlds.net. And also, I've got her description and her picture and her book cover right underneath the chat room here if y'all want to check it out. And at the very bottom of that, I have a link to her book, Never Alone, her newest one. And you say you're working on another one to come out soon. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm currently writing that one at the moment.
Okay, and when does this one come out, the one you're working on now?
Oh, I'd say it'll be next year because I'm only halfway through writing. I've been a bit naughty. I should have been writing a bit quicker.
That sounds about like me. But actually, that sounds like about everywhere. Procrastination makes everyone wait.
Yeah, I've been working on cases, and I think sometimes it's like there's another adventure waiting to be joined to the rest of them. So it's fun.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine so. But and this keeps you pretty busy, too, doesn't it?
It does. Well, I do all my police work I do free of charge, and I volunteer my time for that. I'm a full-time medium, and I do readings full-time as well. So it's in my spare time that I do the police work. But it's for me, it's a passion because I just feel how would it be if someone in my family was missing? I would like someone like me to be able to help. So, it's like a calling. I feel like I have to do this to give closure to families.
So you're not really getting compensated for the what you do for the police department. You're doing that just for the sole purpose of being helpful?
Yeah, I choose not to be paid.
Right, which that's nice of you, I think, and, very generous of you, actually. A lot of people, wouldn't be so generous. And, I tend to agree with you. If I had one of my sons missing, I would probably accept any help I could get from anywhere as long as they were found, hopefully in one piece.
That's right. I think that's the hardest part when you have families and they come to you and they want to know whether they're alive or not. And when you know they're not, it's very difficult. I kind of feel it's not for me to say. It's more like it's better for the police to give them that news instead of myself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I would imagine it really is hard. And how long have you been doing this here?
20 years.
20 years. Wow, that's a long time.
Yes. I did do a TV program called Sensing Murder that was filmed in Australia in 2003, and we did a lot of unsolved cases as well. The hardest thing is Australia's a lot different to America, as a lot of officers are not allowed to work with psychics. So sometimes it's on the side the detectives will come to you and ask you to work with them quietly, because then they can get reprimanded for working with psychics. Yet there's other parts of the police force that are open to it. So it's and each state's different. So that's the other thing. You don't New South Wales is probably a little bit more open. WA not so much. I think what they should think of as a medium is that we're another tool that they use. They use cadaver dogs. They use forensic artists. They use detectives. They use forensics. So I think if it's just another piece of the puzzle, and if it gives an outcome, it doesn't matter where it comes from, so long as it's solved. Okay.
Now, you said that you're a spirit medium the rest of the time. I take it you work out of your house, or do you work mostly from workshops, or, what do you do exactly? How do you make this work for you?
I have an office and I work full time, so I see clients every day, and I would see past, present, future. So the person would come in and I would hold a piece of their jewellery, and from that then I can see their deceased loved ones, and I can see about their future, their life and all their past issues. So it all sort of works together.
Okay. Now, I have been to your website, and matter of fact, I got that link to it under your picture. I need to put it into the chat room. And I have not examined it as closely as I should have, because here lately I've had a lot going on. But, okay, I don't see any forum boards there, so you don't have any kind of, well, you do have a blog there, though. What else do you offer at your website?
There's, I suppose just contact. There is some spirit photography on there, which I have to put some more of that up, because that's what my other hobby is, taking photographs of spirit. And just sort of guidance for people. It's more for contact, and I think, answering people's questions. And I do run workshops regularly and do events.
Okay. Now, I see here that you've been on Channel 7's The One. Are you still broadcasting that? It
went to air last year, so I'm not sure whether there'll be replays of that. So I came number 2 in out of all the psychics in Australia in that show.
So that's the only place that does broadcast. So if you want to watch it, you'd probably have to go to YouTube or something to get a video.
And yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. It could end up. I know it went to 7 too, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the pay TV channels have picked it up yet. And some of the old reruns of Sensing Murder, I know they've been circulating the world for quite a few years now, because I still get a lot of contact from that. The other show was Scream Test, which was like a paranormal kind of show where we had to go into haunted locations and see if we could pick up any evidence of spirit on camera or, video, audio.
Oh, so you go to haunted locations as well. Do you do this frequently?
Yes, we've got a Friday the 13th coming up in a few weeks in Sydney, so we're going down around the rocks and around some of the haunted areas, and we'll do some spirit photography, and I'll just speak to people about, what I'm seeing and teach them how to be able to make contact with spirit. Okay, now are you going to be trying to pick up EVPs while you're there? Yes, I'll give that a go. I'm actually better at doing the photography and the video. I've just discovered that iPhone 4s and the 4S, they are amazing for picking up spirit on the video. So you just need the light on, and you can watch them actually materialise in front of the viewfinder, and the orbs will fly past. So did a story with Channel 7 a few weeks back, which is yet to air with that content in it. Yeah, now I've done a lot of study on the internet about this, and last time I heard there was a lot of discrepancy or controversy about pictures of orbs, because some people say that an orb's nothing more than a dust ball, That's right.
What can you tell us about that? I mean, is there any way to tell the difference between an orb that is a dust ball and an orb that might be something else, or can that be stereotyped like so many are doing, or what?
No, I definitely feel that there are differences. I've done some experiments, like if you've got smoke, to see what's, like I lit some sage to see what that would look like, and then to see what ectoplasm would look like, or more spirit energy or manifestations. And orbs, I've got a lot of them of orbs actually moving, and sometimes orbs have got faces in them. I took some in New Zealand, and I've got like one of the Maori chief's faces above a crowd looking down. So yeah, there are discrepancies, and even with rain, if it's rain, the orb, well, it'll look like a streak, but it'll look like it's going down instead of going just going up. So there's an amazing book called The Orb Project, and it has a lot of information about that. Some scientists have sort of studied all about the spirit photography, which is quite interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't really done a lot in that particular field myself. I mean, I've read about it, but I haven't actually, done any actual physical work. I don't get out of the house very much, but I do, kind of try to share what I have read. I would imagine, though, that doing psychic work, you get a certain amount of flack from certain areas of the community, don't you?
Oh, I do, but I think everyone has their own right to their own opinion, and I'm not here to change people's minds. It's more about opening people's minds and let them make their own decision.
Right, which is very important. Everybody does have to do that, no matter what you're referring to, I think. I know that I see this particular subject in certain groups around the internet that is, they're arguing about it for various angles and various standpoints, but at the same time, just about almost everything's being argued about. Somebody was telling me just today that basically they know how to become a psychic, and they said by using learning remote viewing, because remote viewing and psychic ability is the same thing.
Yes, I think I know when we were doing the one, we had to do remote viewing, and when I do the police work, I have to do the remote viewing to actually, tell them where to go, and it's more or less like seeing a map. But I know I have met remote viewers in the past, and they have been used very successfully in the military. I know over in America you use them a lot. But some of the people that I've met, they do things quite differently. They'll do it whether it's a hard surface, if it's shiny object, is it metal, is it wood, is it vegetation. So they have a different way of working through things, or the people that I've met anyway. So, but I think it's more a matter of we're connecting with the astral plane and sort of seeing things through different eyes.
I see. All right, hold on just one quick second. I think we got a call coming in if I'm not too late to catch it. Okay, you're on the air.
Hi, baby.
Hi, how are you?
Go ahead.
I have a question. Actually, we had a mirror that hung in our living room for a long time, and I took a picture of it. I was taking a picture of my children underneath it, and when we developed the film, there was nothing on it when I took the picture, but when we developed the film, there were faces in the mirror. I was wondering if maybe that was a gateway or something like that.
Yes, there's a thing called a psychometry, which some of the olden day psychics used to use, and they'd use a mirror and they'd be gazing into it. And I've actually had the same experience of taking photos, and I've had faces coming out. So I think it is like a portal for spirit to come through to. I definitely don't like sleeping in the room with like mirror doors, because I feel like that's where they enter, which sounds a bit silly, but I understand what you mean.
Actually, okay. That was my wife that just happened to call in. Also, we had a mirror hanging on the back of the bathroom door that, when opened up, faced the mirror on the wall, and some visitor was over here, said that was like, putting infinity into affinity, because there's no end in a mirror.
Yeah, especially when you go into a change room and there's lots of mirrors in the room, you kind of feel it's going, or like a maze, where it's going from one mirror to the next to the next. But I do think that there are different portals, and I do feel people from spirit will do amazing things to make contact. I lost my beautiful father-in-law 2 weeks ago, and usually I can't get my own deceased people, unfortunately. I can get everybody else's. And he's been making his presence very widely known through electrical things. The fan in my office keeps turning itself on, and he always told me that we have birds over here called magpies. And he said he'd show me he'd come, he wouldn't be the magpie, but he'd give me a symbol of the magpie. And the day he died, there was a magpie knocking on my back door, trying to come into my house. And I thought, yeah, it's a sign to say he's okay.
Was there anything else, babe?
Oh, yeah, and we had an air conditioner in our kitchen that would turn on by itself, and it was the type that you would have to turn the knob to turn it on. It wasn't one of the push buttons or anything like that. And I guess when it got too hot or something, if the spirits got too hot, they would turn the air conditioner on.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, especially because Royce is dealing with this kind of topic, I'm sure that probably attracts other worldly beings around you, and I do feel it's their little way of just telling you that they're around. Actually, is your father passed over?
Yes.
Because I'm being told it's your dad. He's trying to get through to you.
Huh.
Was he a bit cheeky, was he?
Ma'am?
Was your dad a little bit cheeky, was he?
A little bit shaky?
No, cheeky. Oh, I'm using Aussie slang. Cheeky. It was a bit, had a good sense of humour.
Oh,
kind of like a smart aleck, sort of.
Yeah, but in a nice way.
In a nice way.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being that way, because I was only 11 when he died, so, and he was not a nice man.
Oh, wasn't he? Well, then that's not good then. Because I just keep being shown there's a man. Oh, I feel it's your father though. I actually feel he's trying to make amends for the way he behaved when he was alive. I keep being told to tell you to write him a letter and put everything you wish you had said to him, and when you finish, you burn it and let it go. Because otherwise he's still affecting you even though he's passed on.
Okay. I sure will.
Okay. Did you have any more questions?
No, that's all, baby.
Okay.
And thank you very much, ma'am.
Thanks for calling in.
Lovely to speak to you.
Well, Debbie, I got to tell you, that was a rarity. She seldom ever calls in when she does watch the show.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't freak out about it. I just saw there was a man doing it, but I just see him with his head down, and when that symbol comes into spirit, it's like they're sorry for their behaviour. I don't think everybody when they die suddenly get a set of wings, but I do feel they might be remorseful for their behaviour once they see what they were like when they were alive.
Well, that makes sense. Are you in any way familiar with the works of, say, like John Edwards?
Oh, yes. I've seen John Edwards a couple of times. Yeah, I think he's wonderful. Okay.
Is the work he does, is it in any way similar to what you're doing?
Yes, it would be. I do events, certainly not as big as what he does, but I would go straight to the person and just ask them, can I hold something? Can I tune in that way? But he does like what's called overheads. And he would tune in. I think he's phenomenal. I've also seen James Van Prague, John Holland. So you've got some amazing mediums over in America there.
That's funny. You should mention that name, John Hollins. I'm reading a book for this upcoming Saturday's guest, Serena Batista, and she was studying his work, and she was praising John Hollins very, very highly. And I was getting ready to contact him in the very, very near future when I caught up, to invite him out to my show on her recommendation. So, it's a very small world going on here.
Definitely. Oh, he's phenomenal. I've seen him in Australia a few years back, and I would even say at times he is even more tuned in than John Edwards. He's just fantastic. But, all of them, they're all very gifted people.
But what you do, most of your work relies on psychotherapy. Well, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Psychometry?
Yeah, psychometry. Well, psychometry is you're reading energy or vibrations of people, so I can do it through photographs, clothing, items. If I stand near someone, I can tune into them that way as well. For me, it's just sort of a focal point if I do the psychometry. So it's the word breaking the word down means soul energy, so your soul measuring.
Yeah. So, I've heard that almost everything has energy on it, and things that they say we touch when we're alive, we leave a residue of energy. even after we pass on, a residue of energy can stay there. A lot of people have theorized on this here, and if that's so, then it could explain being able to pick up an energy pattern, perhaps, off of an object that's inanimate.
Oh, definitely. You can pick it up with houses, and even at a murder scene, you can pick up the energy from, it's imprinted into the land. So it does make sense. I've found you have to be very careful buying antique or second-hand items, because I've had clients that have bought, jewellery that had been bequeathed to a family member, and then it was sold on, and then when they wore the necklace, they always felt they were being choked. Or, I did buy a second-hand lounge quite a few years ago, and I brought an old man home, and I didn't tune into it very well, and the kids kept saying to me, "What's the man in the lounge room doing smoking, Mum?" And I didn't know who he was, so I couldn't save up quick enough to get a new lounge and sort of send him on his way.
The thing about that it seems to me like might be a problem is, how do you know you're not picking up a different person's energy than, say, the person who owned it? Let's say, we have pens. We lay them on the desk. Somebody else picks them up. They return them. Here it's got two people's energy pattern. How would you know in certain cases whose energy pattern you might be picking up on?
Well, when I tune into the jewellery or, the item for the people, I ask them that it's something that they've only worn themselves, or if they're wanting to contact their grandmother or their mother and they wear it, then that's fine. They'll come through that. Pens, we don't sort of have them on us as much. Jewellery's great. Hats for men, car keys, wallets, watches. Watches tend to imprint quite easily. I do have to work with clothing at times when I'm working with the police. A lot of the time they won't tell me what the case is. They'll just take me to the police station, and I'll have to sit and more or less I have to tell them what I see, and then they'll let me know whether I'm right or wrong. It's a bit of fun. It's like playing charades sometimes when you have to sort of tune into spirit and working on the cases. Right.
Okay, that makes me want to ask you now, do you have to actually touch the stuff that the person owned or was in contact with? It wouldn't do you no good to touch their father's or their brother's watch, for example, unless they'd been in contact with that watch themselves?
No, I can actually tune in that way, because you can tune in through family members or loved ones. So yes, that will work. And when I worked on some of the cases with the police, I've actually had to do it with gloves on, because I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to pick the energy up through rubber gloves, but it still works as well. Or I can do it remotely. Like I might, there might be an officer doing a search somewhere, and they might say to me, "Well, what are you? We're up at the Blue Mountains. What are you picking up?" And I'll through Google, and we have a couple of other mapping sort of systems over here where I can actually tune in into the map and tell them in what direction they need to search.
Okay. Now, do you think this show that you're on, do you think that's going to be broadcasting for some time to come?
It was like a 10-week show, so I think Channel 7 replayed it this year. I'm sure that I know that the Series 1 did get broadcast around the world, so I'm pretty sure their second series would have the same sort of impact overseas. So I think if you Google it, you'd probably be able to pick it up where it will be played.
Okay. A lot of people are probably going to want to see that, I would imagine, and listen to this show. Not everybody that's listening right now are going to be the only listeners, because I'm going to upload this show over at YouTube tomorrow or the next day, and you'll be getting a lot of views from over there even after the show's down, because it's going to be in podcast format from now on. That's why I'm asking some of these questions, so that people have an idea where to go watch you at, because some of the people that's going to be listening will probably live in Sydney, Australia, might want to see your show.
That would be wonderful. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm sorry. My client just arrived. It's all right. I'll just open the door. Sorry about that. I didn't realise they were going to come at the same time as the interview. Apologies about that.
Yeah, that's quite all right. I usually turn off my cell phone during my show, because I don't want my family calling during the show, because people, they usually don't keep track of your schedule. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I'll just have to just let them in, and I'll be with you 1 second. I apologise about that.
That's okay. In fact, I'm going to start a break music real quick, and I'll be sitting here listening. Okay, everybody, we're back now, and I'm looking in the chat room, and I can see that we have a question for our guest, and he was asking, can Debbie sense what other people are thinking or contact them mentally or psychically at a distance?
You can tune into other people's energy if they would like you to. I find it's invasive if I was walking around trying to read everybody's mind. But I can think about people and suddenly they'll ring me, and I'm sure a lot of people. It will still tell the story of what happened at that stage.
Ah, I see. Well, Debbie, when I came back from break, and I clicked that microphone back on and asked you that question that was in the chat room, everything from that point forward, they only heard me and not you because for some odd reason, with my broadcaster, I was not aware of this, but you have to turn it off and back on when you go to a break and mute the microphone, and if you don't do it twice, it don't take all the way. Evidently, I only did it once. While you were just now talking, I did it again, and everything's, you show to be, hearable again. Now, I was about to say, can you at least the part about the, that he asked about, well, I can't scroll back, there's no scroll bar. You remember the part where I told you he had asked that question, what the question was? I'm trying to remember.
About whether I can read other people's minds.
Right.
And whether I can contact people psychically. Yes, I do feel you can think about somebody and that person could ring you or, they'll pop into your mind. The other thing is, reading other people's minds. I try not to sort of stand near people and read their minds. I didn't mention before, my children, they find it a bit difficult. They think it's a bit hard having a psychic mum because one of my children, he's a little bit older now, but he used to be a bit cheeky and sort of say he was somewhere when he wasn't, and I'd ring him up and say, hey, where are you? I know you're such and such, and he used to say it wasn't fair having a psychic mum. So I think, too, if you're connected to the person, you can tune into them.
Okay. Well, I'm noticing that we got about 20 minutes left in the show. I want to try to cover as much on, what you got going on as possible. So let's ask you real quick, what is the title of the new book?
Not Forgotten, The Journey Continues.
The Journey Continues.
Yes, Not Forgotten is the first part, and then The Journey Continues.
Okay. And that comes out when?
Oh, because I'm still currently writing it. It'll probably towards the end of next year. It usually takes about 12 months for them to actually publish once you've finished the book.
It takes 20 minutes for a book to publish? I didn't know that.
No, 12 months. 12 months.
Oh, 12 months. I'm sorry. That still seems like an awful long time.
I know. I think it depends here with the marketing and about, the different book release times.
Okay. Well, I know many authors over here, they spit out like a book a year, and I'm like, my God. But I had no idea they were waiting in between the years for them to hit the market.
Yeah, I think it probably depends on the publishing company too. I'm with Random House. I don't know. That's how long they said it would take. I've just my new angel affirmation cards. They've just been released in the last 2 weeks. So then the new set is coming out in November, and then it'll be the book after that. Okay. And
are you doing any book signings right now?
I am. I'm going up to Brisbane on the weekend, and I'll be doing a workshop and some book signings there. And we've just finished we have a thing called a Mind, Body, Spirit Festival here in Australia, and it's usually in eastern states. So I've done those festivals in the last couple of months.
Okay. And what are some of the other events you have coming up?
Well, we've got we've got a Fright Night, and I've got some workshops that'll be coming up in the next 3 weeks. So I actually do teach clients how to do psychometry and make contact with spirit. So I'll be doing the beginners and the advanced course in July and August, and then there'll be a Halloween event that we'll be doing, sort of going to some haunted locations, and I actually have a retreat that's coming up in the new year.
Yeah, I've heard about people going to retreats. Do you usually have a big gathering at those?
I'd like to have it more intimate. There's usually about 10, 15 people. We're actually going to a place called Cockatoo Island, which is in the middle of Sydney Harbour, and it used to be one of the biggest shipping areas, like where they used to make ships, and it was a reformatory and jail, so it's going to have a lot of history. We'll be doing some spirit photography and just sort of learning how to make contact with spirit.
Oh, cool. Sounds like it's very in-depth. So how long does one of these retreats last?
It'll be for 2 nights, 3 days. It should be fun.
And you can pack all that into 2 nights and 3 days.
Yes. Yeah, I do. I teach people, we have certain exercises that I teach people to use, and it's been very successful. A lot of my students have actually gone on to do their own sort of work now, and some of them, I have like a little elite team that are working with me on some of the investigations. So
what great advice would you give to newcomers that's wanting to learn how to do psychometry or any of the other arts, shall we call them?
Well, for me, I did a lot of reading, and I was actually asked to join a spiritual group, like a circle, and that's where I learned to meditate. And I think the most important thing is when you're starting to work with spirit, you need to be able to protect yourself, because just because you're working with spirit doesn't mean you're going to suddenly pick up all the angelic realms. There's good and bad in life, there's good and bad in death. So I think if you protect yourself and work with the higher and pure energies, then you're going to be safe. I'd never ever play with Ouija boards, because it's like picking up a hitchhiker. You don't know what they're going to do, and the spirit world's pretty much the same. So you wouldn't just open the door to a stranger. So that's why I feel you need to be careful and, do things the right way, and you'll be looked after.
Which leads to another question that I'm quite sure you've been asked this on more than one occasion. However, you'll probably be asked this one a lot again as well. How do you know if you're getting messages from a good source like an angel or an evil source like a demon, just to give an example?
Okay. The vibration for me feels different. Like if I'm tuning in to, say, a dead person who's been murdered, their vibration is quite heavy. If somebody has gone into the light or, gone to heaven, shall we say, their vibration is a little bit lighter. It's just, my guides, I always call my guides in first, and I know that I feel their energy protecting me. It's only when I did a TV show called Scream Test, and I was locked in Maitland Jail for about 8 hours, or probably 10 hours in the dark, and that was the only time I actually ended up with an attachment, which was quite frightening. I ended up having strangulation marks on my neck for about 18 months until I had the courage to go back and release it.
Yeah, I was reading your description and saw about Scream Test. Since you did bring it up, and people are probably curious, can you tell them about what this screen test was all about?
They had 5 haunted locations, and they had 5 people, and each person would be locked in, like kept separately the whole night, would be locked down in different things and given different challenges. So you'd be locked in the dark, and you had a video camera. It was a little bit like Blair Witch. You could only film or you could only have the light on the camera if you were filming, and they would lock you in, say, a cell and give you a video to watch and show all the horrible things that happened in that cell, and then turn the lights off in the dark and leave you there for an undetermined time. You couldn't have a watch, you didn't have a phone, you didn't know where you were. You were taken there blindfolded sometimes. So it was quite a frightening thing, and it was as each segment went down, like each location, it ended up each person that survived the night, the final 4, they ended up going to the quarantine station, and it was sort of to see who would make it through.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that wasn't you. That was me. And my phone, my headset just did an echo for some reason. I don't know what that was all about. But I was going to say, my wife just asked, if her dad was in heaven or hell, since you were talking to her about her dad a minute ago on the phone.
I feel he's gone to heaven. I just feel that he's actually seen the error of his ways. I feel sometimes hell's here, and I think we can create it, it's the way we think or the negativeness. And I do see spirits when they are stuck or they feel like they don't deserve to go to the other side, but everybody deserves to go to heaven.
Okay. Well, that's certainly been very interesting, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that screen test. Now, was there a goal that they were trying to accomplish with this, doing this with you over this period of time?
I think they were trying to get paranormal evidence on camera and EVP, and part of it was to try and scare the hell out of us, which they did. And it was just to sort of see how people would react under stress, because some of the times they would actually put in fake sounds or, set things up to try and make us be more frightened. Excuse me for a minute. Sorry about that. The outcome was more or less to compete against each other to see who would be the bravest one to last Australia's most haunted locations.
Right. Well, I know that I used to watch Extreme Paranormal, and it only took me like one episode to decide that this wasn't my cup of tea, because they were doing some really, like burying people in a closed casket. Anything can go wrong with that.
I saw that. Yes, I did see that show. Yes, that would be terrifying. I know with me there was an area where I had I had a heart monitor on, and I actually flatlined when I was in there. I was still alive, but the control van was having a heart attack because all my heart just stopped while we were in there because I was so frightened. So it was an interesting experience. I don't know that I'd like to do it again though.
Well, I would say this much to anybody, because I've seen this done before. People go out on these ghost hunting expeditions and put it up on TV and sit there and yell at the ghost and say, "Go ahead, attack me, I dare you," and da-da-da. I mean...
Yeah, you don't do that because they will scratch you. I was scratched on the face. I was, I had the hands around my neck. Even when we've been filming in haunted locations, I've been pushed and someone tried to throw me down the stairs. So you have to be careful. And plus, you don't want to have that person attached to you. Yeah,
I had a lady on my show named Sierra Sky who claims that she had a spirit attached to her and said it took her forever to get rid of it the way she described it.
Yes, it can be frightening. I know with myself, after screen test, it took a lot of courage to go back to that jail because I used to see this man in my house and it was very frightening. And I used to work on the Haunted Sydney tours a long time ago now, for about 10 years ago. And one of my children started to see this homeless man that followed me home. So you always have to be careful because if they may not attach to you, but they may like to be around your kids and you don't want that. So I think it's always very important to be protecting yourself and your family before you make any contact with the spirit world.
And I would tend to agree with that. Okay, well, listen, we got just a few minutes left now. Actually, I saved myself a few minutes to give a few ads at the end of the show for, my upcoming shows and friends of mine and stuff like that. But I was going to repeat to everybody one more time that your website's at www.betweentwoworlds.net. You can buy our books at Amazon. You can click on the book cover underneath her description and get to it from my site. And I'm pretty sure you got some links to your books on your site as well. Is that correct?
That's right, I do.
And, you know, I'm pretty sure she'd love to have you drop by, visit her site, and send, you know, go to her blog. And most blogs have got a place to leave comments. I'm pretty sure she'd love to hear your comments. Is there anything that you'd like to throw out there that I might have not thought about or didn't cover?
No, I think you've covered it really well. It was lovely to speak to you today. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been a really great experience.
Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to come on my show, and kind of like to have you come back when your next book comes out.
That would be fantastic. I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you. You too. See you later.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody. Just to let y'all know real quick, well, let's see first what my next show is. I didn't even open up the radio interview list. And looks like it's going to be A Bridge to Healing with Sabrina Baptista, June the 30th, which is this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. And it looks like we're going to be having Scott Roberts back about the rise and fall of the Nephilim again, July the 3rd. Don't forget to stop by and visit my friends at these. Well, let me click on the friends link on your left there, folks. And there's actually, I got some banners there to go to these here sites. You can stop by, visit Supernatural UFO and United Paranormal International. And also, we got some radio shows that I would recommend if you are wanting to hear more shows in the same genre that my show is in. And these would be UKPN Radio with the host Gary Brown, Jim Harold's True Stories Around the Campfire, the Grelian Report with Micah Hanks, and Ohio Exopolitics. If you click on Radio Favorites, they're all linked over there. Just feel free to give them a visit. And in the meantime, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I couldn't have a show without the listeners as well as the guests. I'm going to go ahead and call this show a wrap, and we'll talk at you folks this coming Saturday at 1. Please feel free to invite your friends. I hope to see you then. Good night.